At the beginning of the story, we see a hacker named Bill who is currently hacking the police CCTV system. Just then, an officer notices some unusual activity on his screen, but cannot understand it, thinking it must be something minor. At that very moment, an alarm suddenly goes off, alerting the police and revealing that something is wrong at a major bank. Seeing this, they immediately send their best team there and activate their AI CCTV system named Spice. The computer checks every camera in the city and tracks down the thieves' car. When they see the thieves, their hands are completely empty. Several police cars then rush toward that direction, but upon arriving, they find the road completely empty. The officers back at the station can still see the thieves' car on their screens, and they finally realize that their computer has also been hacked, meaning the thieves have already escaped. The next day, the police find out that only one vault was robbed, which belonged to a wealthy businessman who kept half of the password to his cryptocurrency account in a notebook. In a building named Macau, the thieves take control of the office of a digital money management company. Consequently, some employees are beaten up, and soon the entire staff is taken hostage. An employee is then forced to open the main door of the company, and Mac uses a computer to transfer all the information to Bill. They then discover that this company works with high-profile individuals, including the owner of the country's largest crypto company. Bill tells Mac to copy this information as well, despite the leader John's refusal. However, the police arrive at that very moment, and the thieves immediately start running toward the elevator. John was present in a lobby cafe so that he could leave the place without raising suspicion. However, he accidentally runs into a woman while she is taking photos on her phone. Meanwhile, as soon as they exit the elevator, a chase begins between the gang and the police officers. While looking for an exit, the criminals push down several people, but they eventually find the way blocked, and the officers catch up to them. The two teams begin to fight fiercely, and during this clash, the thieves take Captain Sam hostage. The other officers cannot open fire, so they are forced to watch silently as the criminals escape into the elevator with the captain. Outside, John tells his driver to leave, even though the gang has not returned yet. When the elevator reaches the upper floors, Sam starts fighting the thieves again. However, being alone, he cannot face four people, and they handcuff him before fleeing. The thieves run toward the roof, and soon Sam frees himself from the handcuffs and chases after them. However, since the gang brought parachutes, they jump straight off the tower to escape. While running, they push a woman, causing her to hang off the edge, and Sam has to help her. Since the elevator has also been hacked, Sam collides with a jumper and uses them to descend the tower, reaching the ground safely. As the thieves land on the roof of a hotel, another team of police officers is already waiting for them, and a fierce battle begins. The criminals easily knock down the officers and escape from the roof using their tools and masks. They quickly change their clothes, while Bill begins deleting all the security camera footage so that Spice cannot track them. Soon, the police CCTV system shuts down completely, and Sam begins a search on foot inside the hotel. The police officers fit cameras onto their bodies to record everyone passing by, hoping that facial recognition software will catch them. John also arrives at the hotel in disguise and begins creating various disruptions to distract the manager from his gang. The thieves continuously change their disguises and move around different rooms, alternating between looking like tourists and employees. Meanwhile, Sam spots Mac and recognizes her earring from the fight in the elevator, immediately chasing after her. However, Mac hides by blending in with the many customers in the cafeteria area. Suddenly, the camera recognizes that one of the faces passing by is not present in the system, so the police start chasing that man. John intentionally bumps into an officer to slightly blur his camera lens, and Mac takes advantage of this opportunity to move ahead. The team of officers splits up to go after both men, but Mac disguises herself as a woman, and her partner turns into an old man, allowing them to escape. At that moment, a special light show is taking place in the lobby, and the remaining thieves blend into the crowd disguised as security guards. But as soon as the police arrive, the criminals quickly jump and escape from beneath the platform. Later, inside the police station, the businessman starts shouting and breaking things because his account has been emptied. The police officers discuss their next plan, and Inspector Lara suggests they should recall their retired boss. Sam questions how an old man will handle AI tracking, but Lara reminds him that Spice is now useless because it has been hacked. Therefore, they need someone who knows how to do police work the traditional way. The officers then send Rock and Helen to bring back the legendary Agent Wong, whose file is full of amazing exploits. He was a special officer with no match far and wide. However, there was a stain on his career. His partner had lost his life because of him. When the two arrive in Wong's neighborhood, they are surprised to see that Wong is just walking dogs. Helen follows Wong into a cafe, pretending to be just a student. However, Wong sits at her table and reveals that he had noticed Helen and Rock following him all day. Wong even knows her name. It turns out that Helen is the daughter of Wong's deceased best friend, and they had not met since childhood. Wong congratulates her on inheriting her father's badge number, and then lists all the mistakes the two made while tailing him. He had even stolen Rock's badge without him realizing it. A short while later, Wong arrives at the station and begins reviewing all the footage gathered by the police. After watching the footage for just a few minutes, Wong recognizes all the thieves because they had looked toward the CCTV cameras at some point to check if they were still on. Meanwhile, at their hideout, John begins beating Bill for the wasted time because it almost got them caught. When Mac tries to defend him, John angrily pushes her as well, furious that after staying in the dark for years, he was caught on camera. A fight breaks out, and John pulls out a knife, forcing all the thieves to join together to calm him down. After gathering as many screenshots of the thieves as possible, Wong notices a man in a long coat who appears frequently in the footage. The police obtain the picture taken by the woman, and everyone concludes that this man was also part of the gang. Wong then remembers an old agent known as Shadow, who served in an elite assassination team during the war. He had left the army in search of wealth and disappeared without a trace. Wong deduces that this mysterious man is the same Shadow who has now returned, so he wants to send a team to find him. However, Wong is then informed that all this work is now done by AI, and they no longer have a surveillance team. Despite this, they assign Wong the task of forming a new team for this case. Wong is skeptical, knowing that no one can be trained in such a short time. Later, inside the gym, Helen tries to train, but other police officers start making fun of her, saying she is too small for a police job. Helen ignores them at first, but then gets angry and starts fighting them, easily humiliating an officer in front of his men. Wong witnesses all of this and congratulates Helen in private, saying she has earned his respect. In the evening, Wong drinks on the roof and remembers the death of Helen's father. He silently promises his late friend that he will take good care of Helen. The next day, Wong announces to everyone that he will train a surveillance team, and Helen becomes a part of it. Wong teaches them how to walk naturally without drawing attention so that they do not look like police officers. Every little detail must be memorized perfectly, no matter what trouble arises. On their first day on the street, the team pretends to be ordinary citizens to keep their identities hidden. However, Wong keeps Helen with him in the van because she is his hidden trump card. Whenever any of them makes a mistake, Wong criticizes them sharply. Days later, Bill tries to plan a final mission so that John can live in peace and they can all retire forever. He finds the server location of the CEO's account, but accessing his digital vault is not easy. The story then flashes back a few years, showing that all the thieves were orphans whom John used to visit frequently and give money. In return, the boys had helped John when the police were after him, and they have been together ever since. On the day of the operation, Helen goes out to get food. But as she is returning to the van, she sees some drunk men harassing girls. Wong reminds her via comms that she is currently undercover and should call regular police. However, Helen ignores his words and goes to confront the men. A fight breaks out once again. She lands excellent punches and kicks, but she cannot face all of them alone. At that moment, Wong arrives to save her, beats everyone up, and chases them away. Later in the van, Wong scolds Helen for almost ruining the mission. Helen feels they are not doing real work, so Wong tells her what happened to her father. In their time, the two of them were undercover for months, and a young Wong grew tired of just waiting. When he saw some criminals attempting to kidnap a child, he jumped in to stop them, and the gang nearly killed him. Helen's father tried to help him, which is why the kidnappers shot him before fleeing. With tears in his eyes, Wong explains that if a police officer wants to act, they must think carefully first. Shortly after, Wong spots John in a local market and alerts everyone. The team moves into action to surround the market, while Wong tells Helen to tail the target closely since she is the only officer John has not seen. When John almost notices two police officers, they pretend to kiss to keep their faces hidden. Helen pretends to look for something on the ground and catches John's reflection, confirming his identity. Wong stops everyone from moving cameras or turning around, allowing John to leave without suspicion. However, the team continues to follow him like a shadow and tracks which building he enters. Helen decides to go inside, and John starts to suspect her, pulling out his knife. Wong reviews the footage again and notices that John looked toward Helen twice. Realizing that John will recognize her, Wong rushes into the building and pretends to be her father, subtly removing the Bluetooth speaker from her ear on a pretext. Wong speaks to John and even gives him an apple, which grants him a clear shot of John's face through a camera hidden inside the fruit. Wong cuts off the top part of the apple containing the camera and throws it aside, complaining that the fruit is sour. John keeps his eyes on them, so Wong breaks the lock of an unfamiliar flat, and they step inside. The lady living inside gets frightened, and Wong has to hold her to keep her quiet. Thanks to a camera placed in the elevator, the team finds out which floor John got off on. Rock quickly moves ahead and installs some cameras in that area, helping them discover that John's apartment number is 82. Now the police can make their next move. Wong's team rents an apartment across the street to keep an eye on John from a distance and steal his trash. They find a pile of torn Sudoku puzzles, but no one can solve them. Meanwhile, John spends his time popping bubble wrap. Later in the market, Wong continues his neighbor act, and John approaches him for a short conversation while secretly searching him. As both talk about their fake lives, John shakes hands and remarks that Wong's hands are very rough, asking if he fires guns. Wong diverts the topic, saying he has been exercising since childhood, so his hands are naturally strong. Wong then invites John over for dinner, and to his surprise, John agrees. In the evening, Wong and Helen pay the lady to use her house. When John arrives, he scans every corner with hidden devices. During dinner, he places his phone on the table, and Helen does the same to steal his information. John continuously questions them to see if their stories match, and because Wong knows the real details of Helen's childhood, she begins to realize that Wong has always been protecting her from afar. After John leaves, he tells Bill to look into the history of Wong and Helen. The police know they are being hacked, so they have set up fake profiles for both of them. A few minutes later, someone knocks on the door, and when Wong opens it, Bill's twin brother Tim is standing there. A fight breaks out, and Wong manages to knock his gun away, but Tim has a second gun. He opens fire continuously, and Wong barely manages to survive. A fierce fight ensues between the two. Bill watches the fight on his screens, but remains unbothered, because this was always part of his plan. During dinner, he had hacked Helen's phone, and now he has a live footage feed from the cameras inside the police station. The team across the street cannot see the fight because Bill had hacked their cameras and was showing them fake footage. They only get suspicious when Helen walks into the room while she is still visible on the screen, so they rush over to investigate. Bill informs his brother that cops are coming, so Tim starts firing wildly to finish the job quickly and force Wong into hiding. He then uses special cables to jump from the balcony and window to escape. The next day, the surveillance team returns to the street, while other police officers search John's apartment. There they find a closet full of bubble wrap, making Wong realize it is connected to the Sudoku puzzles. Suddenly, a truck rams into the van, spinning it into the police building. The truck breaks into two pieces, and after hitting the van again to knock everyone unconscious, a group of thugs steps out and launches an attack. Several officers are killed, and police cars are blown up with bombs. Lara realizes that all of this must have been done to distract them, so she tells the surveillance team to stay on the street to find John. Helen regains consciousness and pulls Wong out of the car, then picks up a gun to join the fight. With excellent aim, she shoots down several thugs. Soon Wong also comes to his senses, and together with Helen, defeats the last remaining men in the room. Wong then figures out that there was a code in Braille on top of those Sudoku puzzles, which John solved using the bubble wrap. He asks Helen to contact the intelligence team so they can decipher the hidden code. Meanwhile, the rest of the gang is pushing straight inside the police station. During this time, two members of the surveillance team track John down to an old orphanage. Lara is about to give them orders when the lights in the police building go out, breaking communication with the entire team. Inside the orphanage, John is surrounded by some thugs and realizes that Bill has betrayed him. However, even at his age, he remains a formidable fighter, and using his knife, he has no trouble fighting all the thugs at once, though he gets injured a few times. Back at the station, Wong continues to fight the thugs who are specifically targeting him, because a large bounty has been placed on his head. However, he kills several thugs in return. Helen moves around stealthily until she finds a satellite phone and contacts Rock to tell him about the Braille. But a thug attacks her. A major struggle ensues, and after a lot of effort, Helen wins by throwing the female thug out of the window. Fortunately, backup arrives, and the police force finally ends the fight. At the orphanage, John has killed all the thugs after a brutal battle. In anger, he points his knife toward the camera, but just then Tim arrives and says it was his idea. Bill panics because his brother's presence was not part of the plan. Tim realizes that keeping John alive will prove very dangerous and jumps in to fight him. Both are highly skilled fighters. Matching each other blow for blow, they crash through a window and fall below. Tim notices a knife stuck in his stomach. He tries to use it against John, but John turns it around and kills his favorite son. The police begin to surround the orphanage, so a weeping Bill has no choice left but to trigger an explosion as per the original plan. Sometime later, Lara informs Wong and Helen that she had transferred the CEO's crypto into the police station's digital account to keep it safe after the previous mission. When they check the vault, they find it empty. It turns out that those thieves came in disguise, pretending to be part of the backup team. So while everyone else was rescuing the injured, they looted the vault. At the orphanage, John emerges alive from the rubble and weeps for Tim. The police surround him, and he surrenders himself to them, saying he will confess to his crimes. Back at the station, Lara turns Spice on again, and the computer quickly tracks down the thieves' van. The police chase them to the same hotel, causing the thieves to scatter in different directions. Wong finds Bill in the laundry room, and a physical clash begins between them. Just then two more thieves intervene, telling Bill to run and saying they will handle Wong. The two fight in perfect synchronization as a pair, making it difficult for Wong to face them. Outside, Helen notices a large event taking place. She guesses that Bill must be hiding in the crowd, but she cannot find him. In the police van, Sam returns John's phone to him and tells him to call Bill. Unfortunately, the criminal's devices cannot be traced, so Helen has to visually locate the man talking on the phone herself. Soon, Bill realizes this is a trap by the police and immediately starts moving again. Helen remembers Wong's advice about how he instantly recognized a man looking at the camera repeatedly. Meanwhile, in the laundry room, Wong uses a tool to knock one thief unconscious and locks the other inside a washing machine. In the police van, John drops the phone as a distraction and starts fighting the police officers. He activates an officer's gas grenade and takes advantage of the chaos to knock everyone down. Meanwhile, Rock finds Helen and hands her his earpiece before continuing the search. Soon, Wong grabs someone thinking it is Bill, but later discovers that Bill had exchanged clothes with him. At this moment, Bill is entering a train station, and Rock is right behind him. But before he can inform his team, John passes by and stabs him. John then grabs Bill and kills him with multiple swift strikes. Before dying, Bill reveals the crypto password to him. While the police are arresting the two thieves in the laundry room, Helen finds Rock, but he dies as well. Some time passes, and the police have no leads on John because the stolen money has not been moved. Wong explains that he is an old-school thief, making Helen realize that John probably does not even know how to cash out cryptocurrency. The two now secretly keep watch on the businessman, and when Wong goes to get food, Helen notices the businessman heading to a hotel. She follows him and learns that John has demanded money in exchange for the password. They are scheduled to meet at a tea house in the afternoon. Instead of waiting for her team, Helen goes to the tea house alone, and John recognizes her instantly. She makes small talk to waste some time, but John catches on and quickly knocks Helen unconscious before trying to escape through the back door. However, Wong had already locked it. Wong confronts John, who has started slashing people with his knife. The clients panic as the two men begin to fight. Wong gets stabbed multiple times. To slow him down, Wong throws a boiling pot at him, and they begin hurling items from the cafe at each other. Weaponizing their surroundings, the two fight like maniacs. John attacks Wong with his knife, and it looks as though he is about to kill him, but Wong pushes him back. When Helen regains consciousness, both men crash through a collapsing ceiling. John is about to kill Wong, but Helen strikes him from behind, causing John to lunge toward her. Wong rushes to help her, and in the struggle, he gets stabbed in the neck. Seeing this, Helen moves forward to save Wong and inspects his wound. Fortunately, it is not deep enough to be fatal, but John takes advantage of this distraction to escape. Using the techniques taught by Wong, she tracks John down before long. Backup arrives quickly, and the police block all the streets. John tries to attack Helen with his knife once again, but this time Helen anticipates his move and knocks him down. He will now spend the rest of his life in prison. Meanwhile, it is revealed that Bill and Tim had a third triplet who was adopted by foreign parents in childhood. After overhearing the password on the station's security camera, he unlocks the crypto account and uses the money to place a bounty on Wong, Helen, and John to avenge the deaths of his brothers. If you liked the video, please hit like and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.